demonstrate signs of intelligence, wisdom, plan, will, and so on.
That's subjective.
That's not subjective. That's not subjective. That's not subjective. Look, the water, defying gravity, goes up from the roots of the tree and goes upwards to the leaves. It's an engineered plan. There's a plan. It's not about just look. If I say this is just is, a camera is just is, it's not design, you would laugh at me, right? It's just is. The water from the roots goes by capillary suction all the way up the tree and the leaves, defying gravity, because of a specific design engineered within the trees, within the roots, within the capillary systems.
Well, it's the way the trees have evolved.
Yeah, whatever you call it, I'm illustrating a mechanism of design built in within a system, which goes against the laws that currently we see. Like it defies gravity and goes up.
It's been sucked up, isn't it?
Yeah, sucked up by an engineering plan and a design within that system. Just like that camera, it's not just say, oh, it's just is. There is no design in it. There is design, clearly exhibiting design.
Evolutionary design.
No, when you say evolution designed it, so you're saying evolution has a thought process. Evolution has a will. So you're giving all the attributes of God to evolution, to Mother Nature.
Oh, creation, nature.
Yeah, you're giving all the attributes of God to Mother Nature. Do you know why? Because Mother Nature doesn't demand you to worship and be good and be nice and so on. But God does. God says be just. Mother Nature doesn't say so. That means if you find someone you don't like and you can get away with it, some people say, who cares? Mang, mang, mang. That's Mother Nature. But when it comes, but a believer has this guiding principle that yes, God watches everything that you do, and He doesn't approve of these injustices. So when you commit injustice, you will be accountable, and you may be punished in the punishment system in hellfire, where it is not a joke.
Punishment systems can be made by man.
But I'm saying, Mother Nature doesn't demand any of that. That's why people go for this easy option.
When you're brought up as a child, okay, your parents should teach the children right from wrong.
Correct.
Okay, so that should be independent of any religion.
What do you say?
You don't need you don't need religion to teach you right from wrong.
How do you govern a system in a country? By thinking yourself? Or do you say, I will leave it to the people who knows better?
Sorry?
To run a country, would you want to run by what you think is right and impose it on the majority of the people and the structure, the elites and the government? Or would you defer it to say, I leave it to a legislative authority selected by people by the democratic rights of vote? Would you defer it or would you say, no, I want this country to be run by like this exactly 100% the way I want it?
You can have an opinion.
I don't get what you're saying. You want it to be run by a legislator.
If you want a country to run in all aspects of our life, how we interact, how we communicate, how we do business, right? How we drive our cars. We need laws in every aspect, right? Laws in everything. Rules, regulation, laws is important.
Well, yeah, but you of course you need those things. You need people.
Right.
Like, you only need.
Who should make them? You? Only you?
People.
Why not only you? 100% of it.
All of them?
Yeah.
I want to sleep at night time. I don't have enough time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suppose I want to make the laws and I want 100% of what I think is right to be implemented. Would you agree?
You're not skilled enough to do that.
So now you're saying the laws must come from skilled source.
Skilled and experienced.
Right.
Over time, right,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Skill, knowledge. Who knows most, God or people?
People.
God. The one who created you knows more than you. That is why we say we should have a system where the rules and regulations given to us from the mercy of God that we applied. Why? Because it will be better for us, because He knows us most.
Create the idea of God.
Do you see?
It's a people's creation.
Excuse me. Do you see why it makes sense to believe in the laws of God rather than in the laws made by man? Because man is always limited and always not knowledgeable. They make mistakes. We always make mistakes.
You take the laws of God above, like the laws of the land.
The laws of the land should be based on the laws of God, because that will be the best law.
But if they're not,
If
a lot of laws I mean, everybody's got different religions and views.
Excuse me. I reject those laws of God.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, like, there's different religious laws which will be in conflict with, the laws of the land or the local, whatever it is. So in that situation,
What I'm saying, in principle, the laws of the land, wherever it is in planet Earth, should be the laws of God. Because that will be the best laws for human beings.
That's your opinion.
It's not an opinion, that is what will make sense. That is why we say...
That would make sense to somebody who believes in God.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're saying the first question we're asking is, does God exist or not?
Well, obviously, yeah, but there's different people who believe in different types of God. So therefore, how are you going to resolve that issue?
Simple. Anyone who claims they have revelation from God, you examine it. And you verify whether it's from God or not. So if a book said, for example, you know what, God put a rainbow in the sky so that when he's about to destroy you by flood again, he looks at the cloud and he sees the rainbow and he says, now I remember not to destroy you. Would you believe that this book is from God, which says, God is reminded by a rainbow? You would say no. That doesn't reflect a God who's all knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how relevant a rainbow is.
No, I'm just giving an example from a book which claims to be from God and says God remembers a covenant that he made long time ago when he sees the rainbow.
If you take the God that you believe in, population of people believe in that in your God. Say, for example, it's 2 million people, for example. In the UK is, say, 60 million people. You're not suggesting that the other 58 million people should be abided by what the 2 million people... Yeah.
My suggestion is one of principle. Of course, you cannot implement what we believe to be the laws of God as Muslims here in this country, because the country is not ready yet. Maybe somewhere in the future, when the country itself, the people are themselves ready to accept it by their own self. In a Muslim populated country, if they decide to rule by the laws of God, you should have no question about it. Why? Because they think this is how they want to live their life. Right? Right. So, in principle, how should we govern our lives? By the laws of man or the laws of God? You'd say, of course, if God exists, by the laws of God. The God who doesn't need a rainbow to remind himself.
I mean, I believe it's the laws of the land which should trump everything. Because basically, that there is pretty much...
So if you were in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistan, where they try to implement Islam, you would say that's fine.
I wouldn't agree.
So you're not agreeing with the laws of the land then?
No.
You cannot have both ways.
No,
Okay, explain. I take it back, explain.
Right. If that's... The laws of the land should trump, and that's it, okay?
Good.
I may disagree with the laws of the land, as you were talking about in Pakistan, but I still believe the laws of the land should trump. They should perhaps be changed. I believe they should be they should.
Fair enough.
Is the way.
No, fair enough. But what we're saying is the laws of the land should be based on the laws of God. If God is all wise, his legislation. To give you an example.
Which God?
To give you an example.
Which God?
There is only one God. The God that is now.
Which God?
The God that is now known to us from the last messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're talking about Islam. Yes. Now.
We don't accept.
Let me give you an example, right? In terms of how we ascertain something. Common sense prevails or not in democracy or socialism or different isms. You know, in health systems, you would expect we should have a system based on hygiene, cleanliness, and making sure that we don't have all these infections coming to us, right?
What you talking in the hospitals?
Hospitals, for example, right?
We were the first to create hospitals, you know, my friend?
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I mean,
When?
Christians.
When?
Christians.
When?
The first hospital in this country was St. Bartholomew's.
When?
2,000 years ago.
Where was it?
Started Smithfield.
So if I go and study the history of Bartholomew, I can find out it was done by them. Interesting. Anyway, what I'm saying is, in the health system, if you go to hospitals, when you go to the toilets, right? It's a mundane example, but I need to bring this up because people do not really think, and they think they know it all, right? In the toilets, you have the toilet papers, right? So when you do your business, you are supposed to what? Wipe it and come, and you are reminded of all this bacteria. Wash your hands afterwards. Right. So you've already pulled your trousers up with your with your hands, which are pretty much dirty, because you haven't, and that when you wipe.
Muslims wipe their
Wait,
hands.
slow down. It's important to understand this. You've already, left dirt in your body because by wiping. If somebody vomits on your hand and you wipe it with a tissue, does it all go away? Does the vomit, all of it, trace go away? If you wipe it with the tissue, the same tissue that are in the toilets. So if someone,
you might use a wet wipe.
wait, but you don't use a wet one in the toilets, do you? You don't, because there is no water there. Unless you what? Are you saying some people dip it in the toilet water because there is no water facilities inside?
What are you talking? I don't. With somebody vomiting on you now.
Look, vomiting is food that is coming from your stomach, right?
Yeah.
Right. Toilet feces also comes from your stomach, from the other end.
Okay.
Right. So the difference is not much there. It comes from your body. It is all digested food, excrements and so on. Now, so if vomit is on your hand and you use the same toilet paper and wipe it, do you think it's all gone? It's not all gone. It's still there.
Yeah, germ theory of disease.
Whatever theory you believe in, it's not clear. So would you not have expected, excuse me, that the best thing is to wash it away? Islam teaches us that when you go to the call, responding to the call of nature, you wash. You wash. Excuse me. Have some water.
It doesn't say germ theory of disease in the Quran.
What's your point?
Excuse me.
Talking about the laws of the land, right? That's where we're headed from, right?
No. There's something called common sense, has not entered in our minds. It hasn't
Common sense.
been our common sense in the 21st century to understand the basics of hygiene, even in the health industry, in the health sector, that we do not even know how to clean yourself hygienically. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us even how to clean ourselves. Why? Because that's a basic necessity in our life. You need to know how to do it. Some people question, why do you need religion for anything? Maybe go to a mosque and how to worship God, that's fine. No. Religion, these religious regulations and guidance is for all aspects of our life. If you think you don't need guidance from God, then you should be able to use your common sense. And the example I talked about, you should have applied it a long time ago. But people don't use their common sense. That's why sometimes, it's important to think back and saying, okay, what am I missing? God has been merciful to you.
What you're saying is that, like, the Muslim book, whatever, says you should go to the toilet the way you go to the toilet.
No, what I'm saying is Islam has taught us hygiene, even how to clean ourselves,
It's also in the Bible.
even to the very basics of this.
Isn't that restricting, like, better ideas?
Are you saying something,
I mean,
washing off your vomit, there's something better than that?
I don't get what you talk about, like the way I go to the toilet. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
I am saying people need guidance.
Hygienic advice.
Their
Okay,
common
they could go to
sense
the
of
doctor.
making up laws for the people. You see, remember you talked about laws? People made up laws and you leave it to the experts. These experts don't even know the very basics of how to even clean themselves.
How do you know? How do you know?
Yeah? So if you subscribe to Islam, Islam gives you a package where it gives you the whole package of your own life, how to live your life properly.
Yeah, but
All of it.
But the Jews would say that Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, covers all that.
Yeah,
and that
it
was
does
long
do.
before
The
Muhammad.
message that was given to Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, is the same God that has given the message to us, to Muslims. There is only one God, and this God has been giving the message of guidance throughout times.
Do you accept
So
the
during the
Trinity?
time of Moses,
And how about the times of
Listen, my friend. during the time of Moses, peace be upon him, it was mandatory for people to follow Moses for guidance and salvation. It was mandatory for people to follow Moses at his time.
about cavemen?
One could make an argument, but you wouldn't accept this, that would be restrictive.
What's restricted?
Well, telling you how to go and do something is restricting what you could, possible ways.
Telling you what's the best way.
Yeah, well,
What's the best way? Shouldn't you not take the best options?
yeah, but the
Islam
best
provides
option,
you the best alternatives of everything. Not even alternative, the best solutions.
So the best option for me may not be the best option for you.
This is where you can reflect and engage more in Islam and find out the Islamic principle it gives. Can you bring something better than that? For example, when I talk about economics, when we're talking about crime and punishment system, when we're talking about governance, politics, look into this and say, you have this Islamic model, and you have models from democracy and other things. Which is better?
Okay, all right, okay. Well then, you take all the countries in the world which are Islamic, say for example.
They're not following Islamic.
Yeah, well, okay.
That's the problem.
Okay, so which ones are better like organised and run and
They are not following Islam in its entirety. That's why we don't see how it's supposed to be.
They're obviously running a closer model in those countries
No,
than they are here.
they are following a model where they mix the model of Islam and non-Islam, and that's why the model doesn't work.
If I apply what you're saying is that the countries in the world where there's higher Muslim populations, they're obviously getting better guidance. There's more of them getting better guidance from your God. They're in total disarray compared to.
They are getting guidance from God,
hold on,
but
let me finish. Total disarray compared to countries which don't even, like you take France, it's really like an atheist country. It's pretty well organised. There's got some issues, don't get me wrong.
compare Qatar with France and look at how the people in Qatar live, whether it's the socio-economics, everything, and just compare it when you go home and reflect on it.
Is Qatar Islamic State?
No, there is no Islamic State. That's what I'm saying. People are not implementing Islam in its entirety. When it was implemented in history for hundreds of years. I'm just telling you.
I mean,
if you look at from when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came, and this few hundred years of Islam was implemented, it was the golden peak of civilization.
Can you admit this? A lot of the countries where like the Muslim religion is like prominent, they're a bit of a mess.
Do you know why they're a bit of a mess?
No,
because they're following. No. I am admitting wholeheartedly, Muslim countries are in a mess. Why? Because they're not following Islam. When they were following Islam, they were the pioneers of civilization. Because
So Latin Chinese.
wait.
No, I get,
You cut me off in the middle. There were different civilization, but when Islam came, they were the golden peaks of civilization around the world. When Islam was in Spain.
Yes, that's agreed.
There you go.
We know about that, but that was the peak of that.
Do you know why it was like this? Because they were implementing Islam, but now they're not. Now the West is running all Muslim countries.
Sorry?
All Muslim countries are run by puppet regimes, dictated and run by the West and the Western interests.
At some point in time.
Name me one country which is run by themselves.
At some point in time, people need to stand up and be counted. They need to be stand up and be counted.
Look.
So you can't just
Let's talk about.
You can't just keep blaming everybody else.
No. We're not blaming everybody else. We're blaming ourselves. Right? What we're saying. Think about Saudi Arabia, for example. Saudi Arabia, are they really following Islam? Who put them into the power? Monarchy. It's a system of monarchy.
A woman driving a car, is that okay or not?
This has nothing to do with Islam.
Is that okay?
No, hang on. This has nothing to do with Islam. This has nothing to do. No.
So what do you think? Is it okay to drive?
No, hang on. This has nothing to do with Islam. So,
I think it's tonight.
look. Do you know the crown prince that has come? Now he's saying he's opening up a resort somewhere in one of the islands where the Sharia, his Islamic Sharia, is not going to be applicable. So women can wear bikinis there. Look at the double standards.
Do you believe in this whole like sort of 50 virgin thing? Do you believe in that?
We believe in the rewards in heaven and the punishment system in hellfire. And we believe that God is just. We believe God is just and merciful. People,
50 virgins.
listen. We believe in what we call reward, right? Reward can be physical, reward could be spiritual. If people like eating food here, and you get some pleasure out of it.
Tell me, do you believe in that?
It's important to understand the principle first. We say there are physical pleasures in paradise. If you have no problem with physical pleasures in this life, why do you want to devoid yourself having physical pleasures in the hereafter? What's the rationale?
What if you're gay?
What's the rationale?
The thing with it is, like, when you
can be fixed.
What?
Gays can be fixed.
I know, but say for
There's
example,
nothing wrong with me. Why do I need to be
I didn't say you're fixed. I don't say you're gay.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm gay. There
Okay.
ain't nothing wrong with me.
No, that's something what we're saying is your opinion based, right? It's not how you've made, is it?
what's the point?
If you are made, you'd be in your genes. But the fact that we know from twin studies that it's not a genetic thing, it's an epigenetic. So you are not something made to be how you are. If somebody now wants to have a sexual relationship with a tree, it's not because it's in their genes to have a relationship like that. It's how they have chose their sexual lifestyle. You can choose a lifestyle the way you want. But what we are saying is, God did not make you like that.
Fuck God, then.
But he
I'm not
doesn't,
interested.
we don't believe
That's
it.
the thing. You make your own desires your God. Quran already has taken into account people like yourself in the belief system that there are people who will take take their desires as their own God. When we die, where are we going to go? For you, it's the worm's going to come and eat me, and that's it. Do you really think that?
Yeah.
Long time dead.